What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway here with AllSooners, joined alongside by John Hoover, Ryan Chapman at Amon G Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas, where the Sooners, they got splattered on Saturday. TCU destroys Oklahoma 55-24. Back-to-back losses for the Sooners. The Kansas State game was rough last week. It was way better than this. The Horned Frogs dominate from start to finish. It was ugly, guys. I mean, there's not much positive at all to take from this game for Oklahoma. We'll start offensively. I mean, it wasn't there. Gabriel goes down in the second quarter. Bevel comes in. It didn't make a lick of difference. Nothing was working for the Sooners, obviously trying to move the football.
We haven't seen Oklahoma play this bad across the board probably since, I was going to say the Peach Bowl, the playoff game, 2019. They scored 28 points that game. Give up 62, but they almost gave up 62 here today.
And that was arguably the greatest team in college football history, not TCU.
Right. The best single season, the best quarterback in season in history, all that stuff. This was TCU. This was in Fort Worth. This is a team that Oklahoma's beaten 8 years in a row. I don't know where it came from. Oklahoma couldn't move the football very well up front. Couldn't move the line of scrimmage very well to run the football up front. Dillon Gabriel and Davis Bevel were pestered in the backfield. The offensive line was not good. The receivers were pretty average. The running backs were pretty average. Dillon Gabriel missed before he got hurt, which we'll get to in just a second. He was under 50% completions, which that doesn't happen to Dillon Gabriel. He's an extremely accurate passer. Today his feet were all wrong. You saw maybe on the broadcast Robert Griffin III talking about his feet. His base was all wrong. He was hurrying things. He was getting rid of the football before he was ready to throw it. It was a disaster. Jeff Lebby, he said that they have to be better, they can be better, and they will be better.
And from the start, too. I mean, Oklahoma's most reliable offensive player, Marvin Mims, coughs it up. Third play of the game, that was pretty much, it was all bad from there, pretty much. And defense, arguably, I think it was worse. I mean, they gave up 55 today, and it could have been way more than that if TCU didn't call up the dogs. At 41 at halftime, right? Max Duggan's stat line is crazy. He outdid Adrian Martinez, I think, even from a week ago. Ryan, this defense is a disaster.
Yeah, last week it was physicality, right? They got run over in the running game. Today, the defense couldn't do anything right. Run over in the running game, thrown just way behind in the passing game. 668 total yards of offense for the Horned Frogs. Guys, 344 of those yards came on 6 plays. You had a busted Max Duggan run up the sideline where Kenai Walker didn't set the edge. You had not one, but 2 60-yard-plus coverage busts in the passing game. Brent Venables talked about in the postgame, they're not even doing the little things right? He mentioned it from the very first play. TCU just runs a pretty basic RPO. You have a corner that doesn't set the edge. It goes from maybe a loss to no gain to 7 or 8 yards. And he said that the defense was on their heels the rest of the time. We saw at least 3 pass interferences on, hey, that was going to be a touchdown. The DB just needs to tackle him. Trey Morrison got away with a 4th that was very clearly a pass interference. Was that the 5th?
Yeah.
Sonny Dykes was lucky to get out of here without at least one, if not more, personal fouls for how poor the refereeing was. And it didn't matter even then. That the defense had no answers last week. Now we've got even more questions this week. Is what did they do right? The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, the positive things you can take from this game are pretty much non-existent for Oklahoma. You hate to be hyperbolic, but it's not.
There's no spin on this one.
There's no spin at all. And now you look ahead to Texas next week, and injuries and question marks across the board. So we'll look ahead, to next week's game as we typically do with the qualifier of we don't know what the quarterback situation is. Dillon Gabriel goes down in the second quarter of this game, never came back, ugly, nasty hit. Late. It was a late hit, personal foul. Left the game. He's in concussion protocol. We don't know where he's going to be. Billy Bowman went out early in this game. Marcus Major just wasn't here at all. Don't know what his status is. Offensive linemen up and down. Everybody was getting beat up. And that's just scratching the surface. There's more than even just that. So looking ahead to next week's game, you're talking about Texas, the Red River Showdown, with all these question marks. It's bleak.
Wanya Morris walked out of here with his left arm in a sling, so don't know the extent of that. Damon Harmon obviously was starting and was in a position to make plays, and he didn't have a great game today, but he gets hit. Yeah, we're 7 days from now we're going to be about 35 miles that direction, right over there, in fact. And I just can't imagine it's going to be pretty. Texas got word today that, according to ESPN's Pete Thamel, Quinn Ewers is back. He's targeting next week for his return. Oklahoma with no Dylan Gabriel, and Texas with Quinn Ewers. It's a perfect opportunity for an unlikely upset, which happens in this game all the time, right?
Yeah, and just to pile on to that, Eric Gray left the game, didn't return. That was when the game was out of hand in the third quarter, as did Theo Weiss. So at one point, there was a drive, guys, where Anton Harrison was down. He walked off under his own power, went to the sideline. Andrew Rame on the fourth down, he hobbled off. Now both Harrison and Rame came back on the next drive, but at that point, 6 of Oklahoma's starting 11 offensive players would have been out of the game with injury if those 2 guys hadn't returned. So that's a ton of questions coming into the Texas game, like you said. And not to look too far down the line, but guys, Sooners sit here 3-2. If you watch anything going on around the Big 12, there are no gimmies. You start to look down Oklahoma's schedule. If they play like they did today, there's not another win on that schedule if they play like this.
That's right.
Right. And, you look at it and you're saying, there's no way Oklahoma's going to be this bad the whole year, but this is 2 weeks in a row where you had that rough game against Kansas State, and it was worse today by a lot. And now Texas coming in, I mean, this could get away from Brent Venables and this staff really quickly if it hasn't already. And, the questions are abound, and there wasn't really any answers in postgame. It's just kind of, we just got to play better, and we'll see, obviously, what actually happens. So that's next week. Texas, the Red River Showdown. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? We don't know what Dylan Gabriel's status is. That's obviously the biggest question of them all, because Oklahoma's offense without him today, it wasn't great with him. It was really bad without him. They're going to need him to have a shot next Saturday, it certainly feels like. So that'll be a big storyline to keep up with all throughout the week. AllSooners.com, there for you. All the reaction from coaches and players. Good on Oklahoma, by the way, the fact that we still got to talk to tons of players and everybody.
I did not expect that.
I thought after a rough game like this, it might just be Brent for 10 minutes and that's all. No, they all sat up there and answered questions, so that's nice, and you can see all their comments on AllSooners.com. Venables, the coordinators, and a bevy of players as well. Reaction from these guys, myself, game highlights if you're into that sort of thing for some reason. They're there for you as well on AllSooners.com. So that's it for now. Keep up with us all throughout the week as we try to digest what the heck happened and get ready for Texas next Saturday at the State Fair. So for Ryan Chapman and John Hoover, I'm Josh Callaway.